Hello, everybody. Thank you again for taking the time to watch this presentation that should hopefully answer some of your questions regarding the transition from recreational soccer to the competitive program. This is part one of a three-part series, and we'll be covering what competitive soccer is today and providing a brief overview of the program itself. Our hope is by the end of this series, our membership will be well armed to make the best possible soccer decisions. Check out the description below. You'll find some web links, including a link to the full presentation that covers everything regarding the competitive and advanced prep programs. And if you have any questions that aren't answered here, please feel free to reach out and we'll be happy to get you the information that you want. Another way to think about today's subject is the concept of a player's development path. Breaking it down into the most simple format possible, we have beginner, intermediate, and advanced. And today's information will be going over the advanced option. And if you take that terminology and you begin to apply them to age groups, beginner program is any in-house rec team and rec travel team above the age of U11. And we'll explain that shortly. And then intermediate is rec travel at the U9, U10 age groups, as well as the advanced prep program at the U9, U10 age groups. AP could potentially fall into the advanced category, and a lot of what we discuss here applies to them as well. However, since they have the same training schedule and play in the same divisions as a rec travel team at this age, we'll categorize them as intermediate for today's purposes. They are also a much lower price point than the competitive program. And advanced, otherwise known as competitive soccer, is U11 and older age groups. So what is competitive soccer? We're going to be answering a lot of those questions as we go through this series. However, first and foremost, it is fun. It is an opportunity to create lasting friends and lasting memories. And then, this is an opportunity to excel by placing yourself in challenging learning environments, or as we like to say, steel sharpens steel. And then obviously we try and provide the scaffolding, but it's a platform for players to achieve more within the game of soccer. And we're going to touch on one of those things briefly, and that is the lasting friends and lasting memories. The primary driver of any sport is fun. Sure, you have exercise, competition, life lessons, social opportunities, all of those things are present. However, we compete and we have fun doing it. Passion keeps the players playing. And this is going to be slightly different between, say, a beginner and an advanced program. We're hoping that the kids love it so much that it kind of consumes them to where they really enjoy the game and they want to keep playing, and we want them to play for life. And that's kind of how we look at success. We obviously provide opportunities beyond our club, but we look at that as a byproduct of what we do, not the end all be all. We actually judge our success by players returning to the club, and maybe they can coach or they'll at least continue playing, but they come back, they say hello, they have an opportunity to go play at the next level. And we've begun to see that. In fact, one of my former players now has a player of her own in the club, which really makes me feel old, but ultimately we want players to enjoy the game for life. And then great friends, ask any of our players and they'll tell you that they've stayed in touch as they've dispersed around the country. Many of our players from before St. Bernard FC during the Express years are still present in town. They're proud of their history and they keep in touch with each other and still feel connected to the club in some way, shape, or form. And competitive soccer provides opportunities to experience and challenge and adventure together, and those things kind of bond the players together. A large difference in the competitive program is the use of professional coaches. Soccer is one of the few sports that licenses its coaches, and our professional coaches are constantly learning, studying, and trying to hone their craft. We also provide a robust mentoring program within our own club to ensure our coaches are equipped and up to date with modern trends within the game. And we're very grateful for our volunteers and for their time and their diligence, but there's a difference between a coach who has made it a priority and then a coach who enjoys doing it, maybe a lived experience or a tailored curriculum. So you just think about the dedication of someone who's being paid to do it versus someone who's just actively volunteering. We also provide significantly more oversight. I mentioned the lived experience and goals. And this is one of those things where if we have volunteers who wish to become competitive coaches, we'd very much like to engage with them and begin seeing if we can get them into the program with training, education, and support. Usually, time commitment is the biggest barrier to entry. And I did touch briefly on this idea of licensing, and it's something that at the competitive level, we support all of our coaches if they wish to go and further their education with, because ultimately it benefits the players. But the single largest difference between competitive soccer and recreational soccer is how teams are formed. And I mentioned that soccer is inherently fun, but there is struggle, and that journey mirrors life. And so we group players by skill. Okay. And it kind of breaks down like this. Players are grouped by gender first, then birth year, and then by skill. Where if you have rec or beginner soccer, it's formed on gender still. Most likely it's based on school year, and sometimes that's in 2-year blocks. And then you have location or special request. And the skill portion isn't really taken into consideration. If you sign up, you pay on time, and you request, then we're going to do our best to find you a team. Where the competitive program is more selective, and then we're trying to group players based on skill so we can get back to that steel sharpens steel ideal. But players have opportunity to move up or down over the course of time. And while that takes some getting used to, players make friends at every level. All right. We haven't ever had anybody be maladjusted because of this. For some people, they knew immediately that this was the path that they wanted to take. And some folks weren't sure until we discussed their fears. Others might still not be sure. But there are several ways that you can get into the program. The first one is a formal tryout, and there will be a link down below to our webpage that has all of the pertinent information. But for the competitive program, we will be hosting tryouts the week after Memorial Day. You can use the linked form below. If you are currently a 2010 or older player and you would like to try out at a training session this spring, we can work to try and get you in an informal training. Basically, it's just an individual come out, train with the team, see if it's a good fit, and then we have those discussions after the fact. We also do kick-arounds for the under 9s and under 10s. That's the advanced prep program. And those are just opportunities for kids to come out, have fun, and play. You know, there might be a little bit of coaching that goes on, but for a majority of it, it's just an opportunity for parents to ask questions and for kids to have fun. And then ultimately, you can always just reach out to any member of our team and we'll get you squared away. And maybe you have further questions, totally fine. This is just the first of the 3-part series, but feel free to ask. And who should consider competitive soccer? Everyone. Soccer is for everyone. Competitive soccer creates the most passion, and that creates the most dedicated players, and we want players to play for their entire lives. So stay tuned for part 2, where we will be covering the why. Why do I think that people should be choosing competitive soccer? Thank you so much for your time, and go green.